Hey guys, tonight we're slipping beneath the surface. Literally. Imagine this. Black water churns above your head. The storm you saw earlier. Yeah, that's miles away now. The thunder muffled and lost in the weight of the ocean. You hover in a diving suit that hums gently, arms suspended, feet dangling as pressure builds around your body like a curious hand. It's dark. Too dark. But ahead, in the infinite midnight of the trench, there's a shimmer, a suggestion. A rumor of stone. You probably won't survive this, by the way, not realistically. The pressure alone would turn your lungs into two sad raisins, but lucky for us, none of that matters right now. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're tuning in from somewhere far and sleepy, tell me where you are and what time it is in the comments. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The descent begins slowly. A careful hum in your ears, you're held by the soft purring sound of the submersible's control thrusters, though it barely registers anymore. It's like the ocean's version of white noise. The deeper you go, the darker it gets, but the darkness feels soft somehow. Like velvet pressed against your visor, your breathing is calm, paced, inhale, hold, exhale. Your heart's doing its own thing, faster than you'd like, but not panicked, just curious, alert. Then, at about 1,200 meters, past the reach of natural light, you see it. Shapes, structures. They rise out of the abyss like teeth from a sleeping god. 1, 2, then more. Angular yet weathered. Organic yet built. Think underwater Stonehenge with a touch of Salvador Dali. Columns that curve like spines. Archways slumped under their own forgotten importance. There's no telling how long they've been down here. Could be 500 years. Could be 5,000. Historians still argue whether underwater ruins like these, real-world ones found off the coast of Japan and India, are the work of ancient human civilizations, or just very poetic geology. You float closer. Something shifts, not the water, the presence of the place. As though the city notices you before you fully notice it. It's not threatening, not exactly. But it is awake. That shimmering glow you spotted earlier. Turns out, it's not just bioluminescent plankton. It's etched into the stones themselves. Thin, soft veins of blue light that pulse like veins beneath translucent skin. You reach toward one pillar and hover just above it, fingers inches away. The light reacts, pulling slightly toward your hand like static electricity, then curling back in. You think of Pompeii, how an entire world was frozen in a moment, and just like that ancient Roman city, something in your gut tells you this place was left in a hurry, or perhaps it wasn't left at all. There are carvings too, strange ones, spirals, dots, zigzag patterns reminiscent of Aztec glyphs, except they shimmer faintly when looked at straight on, and vanish when viewed sideways. That's not possible, you think. But again, pressure, sleep deprivation, or maybe just the side effects of finding Atlantis on a Tuesday night, which, by the way, is probably not where you are. Probably. A school of long silver fish with translucent tails glides past your helmet, their eyes unblinking, their bodies moving in complete silence. One pauses near your shoulder and gives a long, slow blink, just one, and vanishes into a crack between stones. It seems like a nod. You hover closer to the city's entrance. There's a path of sorts, sand-packed stone slabs leading inward. You try to take a step, but your feet float. No gravity here. You use a gentle burst from your thruster to nudge forward. The entrance looms. It's shaped like an open mouth, maybe a squid's beak, maybe just a particularly ominous archway. Before you enter, something catches your eye, a statue, half buried in kelp and barnacle. It's the size of a car and shaped like a creature halfway between frog and man. Its mouth is wide open but not in a roar. It looks surprised, or maybe in awe. And that's when the sand moves, just a little, just enough. A tendril, something long and ribbon-like, slithers out from behind a fallen block and slides away into the dark. You pause, heartbeat rising. But then it's gone. Could have been an eel, could have been a cable dislodged by current. Could have been something watching. Still, the city waits. It doesn't demand your entry. It invites it. You pass the threshold. Immediately the water feels warmer, denser. Your visor fogs slightly at the corners, which is weird because this helmet isn't supposed to do that. And then you hear it. A low, distant thrum, like someone plucking the string of a cello the size of a building. It reverberates through your chest, not your ears. A vibration, not a sound. It's rhythmic, a heartbeat. No, not yours, the city's. And just like that, you remember something. There are real cities, real ruins, underwater right now. In 2001, off the coast of India, divers found what appeared to be a submerged city near the Gulf of Kambat. Structures, roads, artifacts, and fossilized bones, buried under silt, silent and unseen for thousands of years. Some believe it's evidence of a forgotten chapter of human civilization. Others say it's just the ocean doing ocean things. You take another step. This place? It's not on any map. And that, honestly, makes it feel even more real. The low thrum pulses again. You smile to yourself, realizing the irony. You're deeper than any tourist, any scientist, and yet somehow this lost city feels less like a discovery and more like a memory. As if you've been here before. Section 2. You step further into the city, if step is even the right word. The ground below feels both firm and spongy, like packed sand covered in the thinnest layer of jelly. It gives slightly under your boots, just enough to make you constantly second-guess your footing. Ahead, ancient structures rise from the ocean floor like forgotten cathedrals coated in coral and cloaked in shadow. One towering column leans precariously over a broad plaza. It's covered in barnacles and layers of calcified sea moss, but you can still make out the sharp angles beneath, clear evidence that this was shaped by hands, not waves, not time, but tools. You drift through the plaza slowly, as if walking through someone else's dream, or maybe their nightmare. It's hard to tell. The city gives off no threat, but it has expectations. It feels like the kind of place that notices if you notice it. To your left, a broad wall extends into the murk. On it, there are carved images, scenes of people or creatures or both, long limbs, elongated heads. Some figures hold strange objects above their heads, others appear to be swimming, or perhaps floating, just as you are now. Historians still argue whether these depictions represent actual beings or spiritual symbols. The carvings look similar to early Sumerian cylinder seals, yet they're far too deep to be associated with any known Mesopotamian influence. Which means either they copied each other, or there was once a shared world beneath the waves. A glint of movement pulls your eyes upward. Atop the wall, a spire pierces the gloom, rising high above the city floor. It's covered in layered coral like roof tiles. You blink, and for just a moment, it almost seems to breathe, expand. Contract, like lungs made of stone, you squint. Nothing moves now, just currents and bubbles. Maybe you imagined it. Or maybe it imagined you. You glance around. The spire isn't alone. There are others. Half a dozen towers encircle the plaza like guardians. Some are still whole, tall and defiant. Others lean, shattered, crumbled like old bones left out in the rain. Yet the layout is unmistakable, deliberate, structured. This was once the heart of something living, a city. The first glimpse of ruins always carries a weight. You remember learning about Pompeii in school, the tragic city buried in ash, but underwater ruins, they feel quieter. More patient, waiting not to be remembered but understood, and now you're part of the story. You make your way forward, passing beneath an archway encrusted with sea fans and anemones. Your light catches a swirl of motion. A school of fish darts upward in unison, scales flashing like shards of a shattered mirror. They vanish into a side corridor that twists out of view. You follow. This new passage is narrower, more confined. Walls curve inward. Kelp drapes down like curtains, brushing against your suit with soft, living fingers. Your heart quickens, not from fear, from recognition. The corridor opens into a small chamber, octagonal, like an old Roman atrium. But here, the ceiling is open to the sea above. Light filters down, not sunlight but something else, a greenish-blue glow that pulses gently, like a bioluminescent heartbeat. At the center of the chamber stands a structure, a kind of altar, though its purpose isn't clear. It's covered in markings, many worn smooth by centuries of salt water. One symbol, however, is repeated, a spiral inside a triangle. You've never seen it before, but it feels ancient, older than language, something your bones remember, even if your brain doesn't. You reach out. As your gloved fingers touch the stone, a vibration hums through your hand, not enough to hurt, just enough to say, "I'm here." And just like that, your thoughts wander to Yonaguni, Japan, a real underwater site that's baffled archaeologists since its discovery. Massive terraces, sharp angles, stair-like platforms. Some say it's a sunken city. Others insist it's a natural formation. But here's the thing. The line between nature and civilization blurs under enough water and time. A small current brushes past you, tugging gently at your arm. Like a reminder or an invitation. You look up again at the spiraling towers above the chamber. They look fragile now, like shells on the verge of collapse, and yet they've stood here for longer than any record can tell. A fish swims lazily past your visor. It's unlike any species you've seen, long, almost eel-like, but with a flattened, translucent body and rings of light circling its spine. It watches you. Not with menace, just curiosity, as if you're the exhibit. Then, without a sound, it glides away into the shadows. That's when you realize something unsettling. You haven't seen a single predator. No sharks, no barracuda, not even a grumpy grouper. The city protects itself. How exactly remains a mystery. Some researchers believe certain areas of the ocean generate electromagnetic fields that disrupt animal behavior. Others believe structures like these might emit low-frequency vibrations, inaudible to us but powerful enough to repel life. Or maybe the city is just very persuasive. You continue along the path, moving deeper into the ruins. Your oxygen gauge glows softly, reassuring. Still half a tank, that's when the temperature shifts. Subtle but noticeable. A wave of warmth curls around your legs. You glance down and see a thin ribbon of bubbles escaping from cracks in the stone. Thermal vents active. That means this place sits on a fault line. Which means technically you shouldn't be here, which means technically this could all collapse any second, but nothing does. Instead, the walls widen again and you step into what can only be described as a square, a gathering place, maybe a market. Maybe something more sacred, a wide space lined with remnants of stalls, tables and sculpture-like furniture all frozen in time. Seaweed grows through a cracked bench. A crustacean the size of a loaf of bread scuttles away as your shadow brushes past. You pause. There's something peaceful here. Not eerie, not ghostly, just still. As if the city itself is taking a breath, holding it, waiting to see what you'll do next. And in that moment, one thought settles in your mind. This place wasn't abandoned, it was left. Quickly. With purpose. And whatever caused that exit might still be listening. Section 3. You move forward, the path gently sloping down now, leading deeper into the belly of the city. The silence presses closer, heavier than before. You can still hear your breath in the helmet, the slight crackle of comms static, but beyond that, nothing. No current, no fish, no silt drifting up from the floor. Just stillness. It's the kind of quiet that feels deliberate. The pressure increases gradually. You feel it behind your eyes, in your ears. You swallow. The pressure equalizes. For now, down here, the darkness isn't just around you, it's inside you too. It pushes softly against your ribs, nudging your heart like it's checking if you're still serious about this. You push back, and then you hear something. Not sound exactly, but something like it. A vibration. It thrums low in your chest. A pulse so deep and slow it feels like it's coming from the bones of the city itself. It's not threatening. It's just there, like background music you didn't know had started playing. Every few seconds, the vibration rises in tone slightly, like a sonar ping from a very, very old creature that's forgotten why it started calling out in the first place. You float toward the source and find it. A long corridor opens before you, tiled, smooth, symmetrical. Columns line the sides, each wrapped in threads of algae that glow faintly blue. The effect is like walking through an ancient metro tunnel designed by sea gods. Halfway down, the vibration intensifies. Not louder, just closer. It's coming from within the walls. You stop, slowly rotating in the water to face one of the columns. And that's when you see it. Symbols, not carved but woven into the algae itself. The shapes pulse with every hum, arcs, dots, spirals, recurring motifs you've seen before, but now they move, gently. Repeating, like a heartbeat, like a language. Except you don't read this language, you feel it, and your brain, in the quiet panic of the deep, tries to make sense of the pattern. Left side, 3 spirals and a broken line. Right side, an eye, always an eye, you blink behind your visor. The vibration fades, you push forward slowly, respectfully. At the end of the corridor is a chamber, spherical and glassy. Unlike the ruins above, this place seems untouched, preserved, and bizarrely the water stops just beyond the archway. You step through and find air. Not just an absence of water, warm, breathable air. The transition is seamless. No hissing pressure lock, no shimmering portal. One step you're underwater. The next, you're standing, gravity returned, on dry, polished stone. You remove your helmet, half expecting to choke, but the air is sweet, a bit salty, and infused with a strange scent, like rosemary and electric ozone. It's pleasant. The room is round, high-domed, and full of detail. Murals wrap around the inner walls, painted with pigments so vivid they must have been protected by magic or material science far beyond your understanding. Or maybe the ocean just liked this room. Figures walk across the murals, long-limbed, web-fingered, cloaked in finned garments. Some wear armor made of shell or scale. Others carry tools, delicate, curved instruments that shimmer like mother of pearl. One panel shows a crowd gathered around a large object shaped like a nautilus shell. Beams of light erupt from it in all directions. The figures are not worshipping it, but listening. In another scene, the same shell is being sealed away beneath stone. A farewell, not a burial. There's a platform in the center of the room covered in a thick layer of dust, or what you hope is dust. On it lies a circular device, dormant but intact, smooth stone inlaid with copper-like veins that haven't oxidized. That shouldn't be possible. You gently place your palm on it. It's warm. Immediately, the murals begin to shift. Not physically. Your eyes just see them differently, as if they're alive. The shell object starts to spin. The figures move around it, and their faces, they're not human, not entirely. Wide eyes, flat noses, smiles that seem far too calm. Your mind wanders again, to the myth of Atlantis, to the tale Plato claimed was history, not fiction. A powerful seafaring civilization that vanished in a day and night. Some say it was a morality tale, others say it was a memory, something passed down before writing was common. But deep-sea legends aren't limited to the Greeks. The Dogon people of Mali, thousands of miles from the ocean, passed down knowledge of the Sirius star system, including its invisible companions, long before telescopes could verify them. Their stories speak of visitors who came from the water. The deeper you go into human history, the more water you find at the bottom of it. The room seems to pulse in agreement. You turn toward a smaller alcove to your right, noticing a different kind of symbol above its archway, an arrow pointing down, crossed by a wavy line. Inside you find 3 objects on pedestals. First, a sphere, smooth, transparent. Inside, a slowly swirling cloud of what looks like smoke. Second, a pair of gloves, long, thin-fingered, webbed, designed for hands that weren't yours. And third, a stone tablet, covered in that same spiral triangle symbol you saw earlier. But here it's carved deeply, aggressively, as though the message wasn't meant to be decorative. Was it a warning? Was it a farewell? Historians still argue whether spiral motifs in ancient cultures represent journeys or traps. You sit on the edge of the alcove's stone bench, unsure what to feel. You're alone, but not. The city watches through its silence, its pressure, its memory. A small puff of air escapes from a vent near the floor, startling you. It smells faintly of metal and mint. Okay. Weird, but not scary. You exhale. Close your eye. Just for a moment, and in the stillness, the thrum returns. That slow pulse of soundless sound, echoing through the chamber, into your chest, down your arms. It's comforting now, like a lullaby from something impossibly large, something old. You open your eyes. The swirling smoke in the sphere has taken a shape, a spiral. Inside a triangle, and beneath it something new, a circle. You trace it gently with your finger, not touching, just close. And somewhere far below this chamber you feel the city shift, not move, not crack. Shift. Like a sleeper turning over in bed, it hasn't forgotten you. Section 4. You step out of the alcove slowly, boots gently pressing into the smooth stone. The air dome pavilion sighs around you as if the room itself is exhaling. It's warm, still, and impossibly quiet, like the hush of a cathedral after midnight. You glance back at the glowing murals one last time. They're dimmer now, like they've shared what they wanted, and they're done. The city is waiting. You place your helmet back on with a gentle hiss and step forward through the arch. The water rushes around you, not violently, but with a silky force, like you've walked through a soft curtain. The air dome vanishes behind you with no splash, no ripple. It simply disappears into the dark. Ahead, another corridor twists downward, curving like the shell of a nautilus. The stone walls are smoother here, almost polished, with tiny flakes of embedded shell catching the faint bioluminescence from overhead. It feels less ruined, more intentional. You float forward, letting the slope carry you. The further you go, the more alien it becomes. This isn't just ancient, it's different, not primitive, not futuristic, just other. Then suddenly a glow. Soft, pinkish white, rising from the floor like fog made of light. You follow it, curving around a final bend, and there it is. A chamber. Massive, domed like a planetarium but underwater, and in its center floats a perfect orb of air 20 feet across. Inside the orb is a garden. Yes, a garden. You blink, then again, still there. Thin strands of aquatic moss curl along latticed branches. The plants glow faintly, swaying not in water, but in the still air of the bubble. Floating among them, gliding like lazy birds, are fish. But not ordinary fish, they're clear, completely transparent. Their organs glow faintly gold, their fins shimmer like dragonfly wings, and their eyes, when they turn to look at you, are eerily human. No, not quite, but close enough to make your breath catch. One floats to the edge of the orb, pressing its delicate body against the inside. It watches you, tilts its head, and then it smiles. It's a subtle curl of its tiny, lipless mouth, but unmistakable. You float closer, peering in. The garden is impossibly detailed. Carved coral steps lead through miniature trees whose leaves pulse with soft color. There are small stones, smoothed into perfect circles, arranged in deliberate clusters, and there's a bench, made of shell. Designed for someone your size, you want to go inside, but the orb remains sealed. The fish, 5 of them now, swim in lazy loops, unconcerned, as if they've lived here forever. And maybe they have. There's something about the garden that feels untouched by time, not ancient, outside of time. You drift around the orb, careful not to disturb anything. Behind it, etched into the stone floor, is a ring of symbols, repeating. Spirals, triangles, eyes. But in the very center of the ring is a new shape, a doorway, or a drawing of one, with something stepping through. Something tall, slender, wearing a crown shaped like a jellyfish. Historians still argue whether crowns in ancient symbols represent literal rulers, divine beings, or metaphors for the ocean itself, but here the lines are too clear, too intentional. This is a person, a presence, a being. The air in your helmet feels thinner. You try to steady your breath, in, out. You remind yourself this isn't real, or maybe that it is, and that's worse. There's a sound now. A faint tick, tick, tick behind you. You whirl around. A small mechanism previously hidden in the wall has opened. Inside is a device, like a compass, but its needle spins slowly, rhythmically, to the pulse of the garden. It points not north, but down. You pocket it. Then something catches your attention. Movement behind the orb. A doorway. Just like the drawing, you swim to it cautiously. It's narrow, bordered by vertical lines that hum softly as you pass through. The material here has changed, no longer stone. It feels like bone or coral, natural but impossibly sculpted. The corridor opens again, revealing a long hallway lit by the same glowing algae as before. The bioluminescence is stronger now, forming symbols and patterns along the walls in flowing, spiraling text. The words move. Not fast, like molasses down a cold window, but they move, and they speak. Not aloud, in feeling. You don't understand the language. But your body does, somewhere deep in the marrow. It tells you you're welcome here. And also, don't stay too long, a gentle contradiction, one that leaves you both comforted and uneasy. Midway through the hallway, you find another room. This one is lower, sunken, like a bowl carved into the sea floor. You float downward and land softly at its edge. In the center is a sculpture. It looks like a music box, massive, like a cathedral organ fused with a seashell. Its pipes are long tubes wrapped in kelp, and its base is encrusted with mother of pearl. There's no wind, no air to push sound, and yet you hear it. No. Feel it, a tone, a melody. Not in your ears, but your chest cavity. Like the first time you stood in front of a subwoofer and realized your ribs could sing. The melody repeats, but never exactly the same way twice. It loops but evolves. It's beautiful, complex. Alien. You step closer and notice smaller sculptures, fish with open mouths, humanoid forms with their hands raised, all listening. All turned toward the center, as if in permanent reverence. This wasn't just music, it was communication. Maybe worship, maybe warning. Scientists have long speculated that sound travels differently in deep water, that certain frequencies could theoretically carry messages across vast distances if only we knew how to decode them. Some say whales do it, some say ancient humans might have known how. The melody changes slightly. A new note, higher, closer. You realize your hand is resting on one of the pipes, and it's warm. You step back. The sound fades, but the feeling lingers. Not danger, not fear, a question, unasked. But waiting, you ascend from the sunken chamber and back into the hallway. The algae words are slower now, as if sleepy. They no longer swirl, just drift, back past the garden. The transparent fish are still watching. You give a small wave, one nods. You're not sure what to make of that, or whether it even happened, but something is changing. You can feel it. The city is beginning to remember you, and that feels significant. Section 5. The garden fades behind you as the corridor narrows once more, guiding you deeper. You drift quietly now, as if any sudden movement might wake the stones themselves. The bioluminescent algae grow sparser, replaced by long, fibrous strands of kelp that seem to emerge from the walls, gently swaying even in the stillness. It feels like threading a needle through the city's nervous system. And then, another shift. The water grows darker, heavier. You have to switch on the small beam at the side of your helmet. It cuts a thin line through the gloom, revealing more stonework, more intricate carvings, and something new. Letters, not spirals, not symbols, letters. They run along the wall in a horizontal band like a frieze. Not in any alphabet you recognize, but they're structured. You can see the line breaks. The punctuation, the neat spacing, this was written by someone who meant to be read. You try to trace one of the letters with your glove. It shimmers faintly beneath your touch, like oil on water. The stone around it feels thinner. A few feet ahead, the corridor ends. You float slowly into a wide, circular space, perfectly symmetrical. The floor is a smooth spiral, descending like a whirlpool frozen in time. On each level of the spiral embedded into the walls are panels, not screens, not stone. Membranes. They stretch taut like drum skin, and as your light passes over them, they flicker, not randomly. Like eyes, dozens of soft, translucent membranes flutter open, just for a moment. You don't see what's behind them, but the impression is enough. You're being watched. You don't run, you don't scream. You just keep floating. At the center of the room, the spiral floor stops at a pedestal, tall, with a conical device resting atop it, not mechanical. Not organic, something in between, covered in scale-like plating but clearly assembled. It pulses faintly like a slow heartbeat. You drift closer and for a moment your light catches your own reflection in its surface. But your face is distorted, elongated, eyes wider, head slightly larger. Not horrifying, just off. You lean in and as you do, the conical object hums softly. A deep, resonant vibration passes through your chest. Not a warning, a recognition. And then something extraordinary happens. The walls begin to whisper. At first, it's like hearing someone talking in the next room, soft, muffled, almost inaudible. Then the volume increases, the membranes begin to shimmer, the whispers overlay one another, 1,000 voices murmuring at once. Some sound like language, others like breath, some hum. Some chant, but none of them sound afraid. The whispers don't feel malicious. They feel eager, like voices long silenced, finally offered an audience. You focus on one membrane, the one closest to you. It glows faintly. A soft blue swirl begins to appear, then a shape, vague at first, then clearer. A face, human-like but not human, elongated skull, large almond eyes, gill-like folds along the neck. It speaks, slowly, the lips move. The sound doesn't come through your ears, but you hear it anyway. Welcome, airborne, you freeze. It spoke to you. The others echo the phrase, overlapping, like a slow ripple across the pool of the room. Welcome, airborne. Remember, remember, remember. And suddenly you feel it. Not memory, but something like it. Not yours, theirs. You're seeing flashes now, images blurred and shimmering like old dreams. A city above water, glowing with crystal towers and strange creatures walking alongside humans. A flood. Sudden, violent, the city breaking apart. Buildings twisting, people falling, then silence. And sinking, and stillness, the whispers shift tone. A new image floods your mind, a symbol being passed from hand to hand, spiral, triangle, circle, over and over, a promise. A message meant to outlast time. You touch the conical device gently, and for a moment, the whispers stop. Utter silence returns, but now it feels full, like something has been handed to you. Not physically, but deeper, you drift backward, hands floating open in the water. The membranes begin to close, the face fades from the glowing panel, and you're left alone in the center of the chamber, the hum of the conical device softening into something almost like a lullaby. Your heart rate has slowed. You don't know what just happened, but it didn't hurt. It didn't harm. It only shared. You exit the chamber, tracing your way back through the kelp-laced corridor, past the ancient letters and glowing strands. And as you move, you notice something strange. The algae and coral on the walls, where once they pulsed a faint blue, now glow softly gold, as if something inside the city recognizes you now. As if you are no longer just a visitor, you are remembered. Above you, high in the black water beyond the reach of your light, something shifts again. A soft chime vibrates through the current, and the stone beneath your boots feels warmer. Just for a moment, you exhale slowly, and for the first time since this journey began, you feel at home. Section 6. You press onward, drifting with more ease now, like the city is holding you rather than resisting you. There's a softness to the current here, like fingers guiding your shoulders. The path leads downward again, gently spiraling into deeper dark. But you're not afraid anymore. Instead, there's a strange sense of anticipation, like you're about to open a book that remembers being written. The corridor widens again, but this time it doesn't open into stone or ruins. It opens into light. You pause in the mouth of the passage, momentarily stunned. Before you is an enormous atrium-like chamber, flooded with shimmering beams from cracks above. The water refracts them into floating ribbons of color that dance along the curved walls like aurora borealis underwater. But that's not what stops your breath. It's the fish, thousands of them, each one transparent as if carved from glass, yet alive. They pulse faintly with internal glows, some amber, some icy blue, some bright violet like the edge of a flame. They swim in slow, perfect loops, their formations complex, recursive, spirals within spirals, almost like a code. And at the center of this massive space is a forest of columns. Twisting upward like the stalks of kelp, these columns look like they've grown rather than been built. Some are thick and knotted, others thin and elegant, all covered with fine filaments that sway in rhythm with the water. Coral blooms on some like frozen fire, others are smooth, polished, and reflect your face back at odd angles. You float closer and realize the columns aren't random. They're arranged in concentric circles, forming paths and alcoves between them, like the nave of a cathedral crossed with the maze of a coral reef, and then you notice what's perched on top of many of them. Statues, not of gods, not of people, of fish, but not these fish, not the living glass-like ones gliding silently around you. These statues are of larger creatures, bulky, armored, majestic. Some look like giant anglerfish, others like prehistoric sharks, and a few resemble no earthly creature at all. Twisted fins, eyes set in odd places, tails that spiral upward like corkscrews. You remember reading about coelacanths, those ancient fish thought to be extinct for 66 million years until one was found alive off the coast of South Africa in 1938. Scientists still can't explain how such a living fossil went undetected for so long. Here, it looks like those prehistoric creatures were never lost. They were remembered, maybe even worshipped. You float between the columns, silent, respectful. The glass fish part slightly as you pass, forming gentle swirls around you, never bumping or brushing. It's like you're part of their pattern now. One swims especially close. Its body is no bigger than your hand. You see tiny organs pulsing faintly inside, a miniature heart, a golden spine, and, strangely, a tiny stone embedded in its core. It glows softly. You reach out a finger, not touching, just curious. The fish mirrors you. Then swims away. You don't know why, but the gesture feels ceremonial, as if you've been acknowledged. The floor beneath your feet is a mosaic of fine shell fragments, laid out in massive patterns that are only visible from high above. Spirals again, intersecting triangles, arcs arranged like waves in freeze frame. The patterns make you dizzy, like staring into a fractal that grows the more you try to understand it. The entire space hums gently. Not with sound, but movement, thought, a deep, slow intelligence. Historians still argue whether ancient temples were built to amplify spiritual experiences or merely showcase power. Here, the answer might be both. You approach the largest column, which stretches up into a crevice of shadow beyond your light's reach. At its base is a pool, a perfectly circular well, ringed with delicate stone carvings of fish skeletons, each one unique. Inside the well floats a glowing sphere, not like the one in the garden. This one pulses red and gold like a slow molten heartbeat. It doesn't rise, it doesn't fall. It just waits. You feel compelled to kneel beside it. There's no pressure, no voice commanding you. Just presence. As you lower yourself, the water around you stills. The fish pause in their loops, hovering like notes waiting to be played. You gaze into the orb, and you see a city not underwater. Alive, thriving. You see people, humanoid but taller, leaner, their movements graceful and deliberate. They move between towers of glass and coral, trade fish wrapped in woven kelp, write on glowing panels with gestures. They sing, not with voices, but with movements, with vibrations in their bones, and the fish, these fish, swim through every street, every home, part of the city like birds in a park. Then something shifts. A quake, a pressure, the city trembles. The towers sway, and then in the blink of an eye, the ocean claims it, not with anger, with hunger. The vision fades, you blink. The fish resume their dance, and the orb sinks slowly into the well, as if finished with you. You rise. Silently, your mind hums with something you can't name. Not fear? Not confusion, just awe, the kind that makes you want to cry for no reason. The kind that makes your chest feel too full. You move once more through the columns, back toward the far wall. Another passage waits there, low and narrow. But before you go, you turn back. The fish pause in mid-motion, then spiral downward in a tight, perfect circle as if bowing. You bow back, because anything less would feel wrong. You pass through the next archway, and just before it swallows you in shadow, you swear you hear something whisper. Don't forget the song, Section 7. The corridor ahead curves tightly, enclosing you in a tunnel of stone and silence. The path narrows like a throat, swallowing all sound except for the steady hum of your breath. You move cautiously. This part of the city feels different. There's no light, no fish. Not even the lazy drift of plankton, only shadow. Your helmet light cuts a narrow beam into the dark, revealing the path ahead inch by inch. The stone here is smoother, unblemished by coral or algae. It's colder too, not just in temperature, but in presence. Like this place has been sealed for longer, untouched, waiting. The tunnel ends in a wide arch opening into a vast circular chamber. You pause just outside it, and immediately you sense something strange. There's a tower at the center, tall, impossibly tall. It stretches upward into blackness, its base rising from a pool of still, dark water, but there's no visible mechanism, no doorway. No stairs, just a column that ticks, not audibly, visibly. The tower pulses, small, subtle shifts in its outer casing, rings that turn 1 degree, then pause. Panels that realign, like a clockwork puzzle made of stone and shadow. You float closer. The water around the base is warm, almost too warm. You can feel it through your suit, and that's when you notice time feels wrong here. You check your wrist display. Time hasn't passed, or maybe too much has. The seconds don't match the breath in your lungs. The internal rhythm you've relied on since entering the city doesn't sync. You blink. Look again. Your suit clock now says 3:08. You swear it said 2:47 just moments ago. The tower ticks again, but you still hear nothing. It's entirely silent, and somehow that's more unsettling than any noise. You swim slowly around the base. The surface of the tower is carved in narrow bands, each etched with tiny symbols, some familiar, others chaotic. You spot the spiral again, but this time it's interrupted, cracked, interrupted by a jagged line, broken time. And suddenly a thought drifts into your head. What if this tower isn't keeping time? What if it's holding it in place? Historians still argue whether ancient astronomical structures like Stonehenge or Nabta Playa were used to mark the passage of time or to control rituals that governed it. Here it feels more literal, as if time itself is being filtered, stretched, adjusted. You reach out, touching one of the outer rings. It's warm, vibrating faintly. And then, a flash, not of light, but memory. You're no longer alone. The chamber around you fills, just for a heartbeat, with echoes of figures, not solid, not whole. Just glimmers, shapes of people, tall, thin. Walking along the walls, climbing the tower, adjusting panels. Whispering, then gone. Your heart pounds in your ears. The tower pulses again, and this time it shows you something. In the base, a panel folds open. Inside, a series of stone discs, spinning slowly. One stops. On its surface is an image of the city itself, rising, glowing, full of life. Another spins into view. This one shows destruction, the sea roaring in. A tsunami larger than mountains. Another. The city quiet. Sunk, silent. Another. A star, falling, flaming, crashing. Another. You, standing right here. You blink, the discs begin to spin again, faster this time. Blurring into a wheel of impossible memory, you pull back, and the panel closes. As if nothing happened, you try to steady your breath. You're not panicking. Not really, but the tower isn't just old, it's watching. Not consciously, not maliciously, but like a machine that knows you're out of place. You float slowly toward the far side of the room, another arch, but this one is shifting. As you watch, the doorway slides 2 feet to the left. You freeze, not in fear. In awe, the walls move again, slowly, silently, like puzzle pieces slotting into new arrangements, and it clicks. This city isn't just preserved, it's alive, maybe not breathing, but changing, like it's updating itself in response to you. The idea isn't as crazy as it sounds. Ancient architectural marvels like the Egyptian pyramids are still being studied for how they were built to interact with light, stars, and seasons. But this place rebuilds itself. You follow the shifting walls. The corridor ahead now opens wide, revealing a staircase that wasn't there moments ago. It spirals upward around the edge of the tower. You ascend slowly, your light bouncing off the stone like a lighthouse beam in slow motion. You notice etchings along the steps, phrases in strange script, but this time the letters shift as you pass, reconfiguring themselves into something you almost understand. Time is not kept, it is remembered. The phrase lingers in your mind. And then, at the top of the staircase, the city gives you a gift. A window, wide, round, perfectly clear. Through it you can see the ocean, stretching in every direction. Vast, quiet, infinite. Above, the surface shimmers like silver silk, miles away, maybe centuries. Below, the city spirals downward like a labyrinth of memory and stone. You press your palm to the glass, and in your chest the ticking stops. Not the city's, yours for just 1 second. Then it resumes, stronger, more yours. You turn from the window and descend, the stairs realigning behind you. The city does not keep you here, but it does not forget you either. You re-enter the main chamber. The tower is silent now, but you know it's listening. Because time has changed, and now so have you. Section 8. You descend the final step, back onto the chamber floor, but the silence feels different now, less like absence, more like attention. As if the city is watching, yes, but also waiting. The tower behind you clicks once more, soft, final, then stops. You drift forward toward a new corridor that wasn't there before. It's broader, lower, like the entryway to a temple or a tomb. The moment you cross the threshold, your suit adjusts itself automatically, your lights dim, your oxygen rebalances. Not because of an alert, because the environment demands it. This place is colder. Not water cold, memory cold. The walls here are lined with alcoves, shallow niches, each one containing something. You hover closer, humanoid figures, not statues. Skeletons, but not quite human. They're long-limbed, with wide hips and large skulls. Their fingers are fused at the edges with delicate webbing. Their spines curve in a way that suggests they moved fluidly, almost serpentine, and they're not buried. They're seated, resting in their alcoves as if simply pausing, waiting. Their armor, if that's what it is, seems part coral, part shell, but fused with metal bands and faded silk threads. Barnacles cling to some of the helmets, others are pristine. This is no crypt, it's a gallery, a record. Each figure holds an object across their lap, a tablet, a tool, a weapon, a book. One clutches a musical instrument made from the spine of a fish. Another has a small orb in its hand, just like the one from the forest of fish, and as you pass each one, you notice subtle differences. No two are the same. Each one was someone, a craftsman, a warrior, a scholar, a child, and each one chose to remain. You float in silence, head slightly bowed as if walking through a museum designed by grief. Historians still argue whether ancient societies preserved their dead for remembrance or for consultation, believing their spirits could offer wisdom. This place suggests both. You pause at the final alcove, a larger skeleton, maybe twice your size. Its arms are crossed, its skull bears a jagged crack. This one fought and lost. On its chest lies a small, flat mirror. You tilt your light toward it, and you see your own reflection, but your eyes are black, wide. Unblinking, you flinch and the mirror goes dark. You don't linger. The hallway opens again, this time into a circular room with tall ceilings and walls that slope inward, making the space feel both intimate and vast. And in the center, beneath a dome of glass shot through with coral veins, sits a large table. Around the table are seats, 12 of them, carved from bone and shell. All empty, and yet warm. You hesitate, then move toward one chair. The one directly opposite, a strange emblem carved into the table, a spiral inside a triangle, surrounded by 12 tiny circles. The same emblem you've seen again and again. The moment you hover over the chair, it responds, pulls slightly back, inviting you to sit. You do, and immediately the air around you changes. Not the water, the air. Yes, you're breathing air again. Somehow, the chamber has sealed itself off. You remove your helmet and sit still, heart pounding in the stillness. A voice, not a sound but a vibration, echoes softly in your chest. Tell us what remains. You say nothing. Still, it asks again. Not aloud, not in words. What has survived? You think, you remember, the world above. The cities, the noise, the forgetting. You think of the rivers choked with plastic, the coral reefs fading, the languages lost. The rituals discarded, and you whisper, not knowing why, we forgot how to listen. The chamber hums in response, not angry, not sad, just aware. The table before you begins to glow faintly. Images appear. You see the fish again, your small companion from earlier, the one with the stone inside its chest. It swims in slow circles, then suddenly dives downward into the darkness. A chase, a storm, a light. Gone. And then, rebirth. It glides upward again, towards something bright. The table fades, the air grows still. You place your helmet back on and prepare to leave. But something catches your eye. One of the other chairs, previously empty, now holds a small orb, glowing gold. The same as the fish, you take it, hold it in your palm. It pulses faintly, alive. You exit the chamber, moving slowly now. Reverently, the hallway ahead shifts as you approach, walls realigning. Stones folding back. The city isn't just remembering you, it's reshaping for you. At the end of the corridor is another chamber, circular, domed. At its center a pool, mirror still, and suspended above it a sphere of water, held in place by nothing you can see. Inside the sphere, a child, or something that resembles one, small, thin, curled, eyes closed. Breathing slowly, just once every few minutes, it floats peacefully, lit by a shaft of light that filters from somewhere above. You watch as the small figure stirs slightly, a hand moves, the chest rises. Then stillness. You can't explain it, but you know this being is not asleep, it's waiting. For what? You, for the city. For time? You don't know, and that's okay. Some answers, you sense, are too old for words. You step back, careful not to disturb the water or the silence, and in the quiet, the child opens one eye. Black, deep, reflective. It sees you, and doesn't blink, not yet. Section 9. You hold your breath, not because you have to, but because silence deserves it. The child, or the being curled like a child, continues to float within the orb of suspended water, unmoving now, that single unblinking eye fixed on you. It's not hostile. Not even curious, it just watches, like a librarian cataloguing a book left on a wrong shelf. And you, right now, are that book. You feel something tighten in your chest, not fear but gravity, the sense that what you're witnessing isn't just rare, it's sacred. You don't belong here, but you've been allowed. The orb pulses faintly with light, once. Then again, and then with the third pulse, a vibration hums beneath your feet, low. Deliberate, rhythmic, you recognize it. It's the same pulse you've felt since the moment you entered the city, the heartbeat, only now, you understand. It wasn't the city's heartbeat, it was theirs, this child. Or whatever being lies sleeping inside that quiet sphere, suspended between moments, is the city's core, not its ruler, not its prisoner. Its purpose, you step back, not out of fear but reverence. And as you do, the orb dims, the eye slowly closes, the water stills. And that's when the melody returns, that vibration from earlier, felt in your chest, not your ears. It returns, only now you hear it too. It's deep. Slow, musical, like a choir of whales singing from the edge of time. A tone with no lyrics, yet it speaks, a reminder, a call. You follow it. Out of the chamber, past the sleeping child and into a corridor that curves like a shell. The light changes here, subtle shifts from blue to violet to soft amber, illuminating the path like falling stars. The corridor widens. You enter a vast atrium shaped like a funnel, with walls layered in overlapping plates of translucent stone, and those plates, they vibrate, each one singing a different pitch. Together they form chords. Harmony's music, but music you feel not just in your ears, in your ribs, your spine, your teeth. It's not just sound, it's communication. You drift closer to the nearest wall. The plate nearest to you is etched with spirals, again with that recurring triangle motif, but now they pulse in rhythm with the melody. As the music shifts, the symbols brighten, then fade, and something wild passes through your mind. What if this is their language? Not words, but sound, tone, emotion. Imagine if the ancient Greeks had used chords instead of consonants, if the Egyptians carved feelings into limestone instead of pictographs. Here, the language isn't just read, it's resonated. Historians still debate whether early humans used humming and tone long before forming structured speech. Perhaps the need to feel came before the need to name. Here, the theory lives. You drift to the center of the atrium. The music intensifies, but gently, like a crescendo in reverse. It doesn't overwhelm you. It invites you. At your feet is a platform, stone, yes, but covered in organic designs, coral loops, tendril-like whorls, and lines that match the plates above. You place your palm on it. The music stops, instantly. The silence that follows isn't emptiness, it's a question. And then the platform rises, slowly, smoothly, not lifting you into the air, but lowering you into something deeper. Beneath the platform, a shaft opens, downward. Always downward, because of course this city goes deeper still. You descend. And as you do, one more curious sound appears, not part of the melody, a hum, mechanical, familiar, and yet entirely out of place. The platform lowers into a chamber far smaller than the others, intimate, round, with a ceiling covered in glowing moss and a floor of what appears to be glass. You kneel and look through it. Below the floor is an enormous engine. Yes, an engine. Cylindrical, turning, faintly glowing. The city is powered, not drifting, not crumbling. Functioning, and somehow choosing to remain hidden. One section of the engine is cracked. You see it clearly, a fracture running along a massive gear, leaking faint pulses of light, not dangerous, but slowly failing. It hits you, the city is dying, not suddenly, not dramatically. But eventually, and perhaps that's why you were allowed here, you float back from the glass. The engine hum fades, a small door slides open at the far side of the room, no noise. No announcement, just opportunity. You pass through, and the corridor ahead is unlike any before. This one is organic, the walls pulse faintly. The floor feels almost soft, not wet, spongy, like you're walking through the inside of a creature far too large to notice. And you think of the whispers earlier, the ones that asked you what remains. Now you wonder what happens when everything else fades. When the last panel dims, the last song stops, will the child awaken? Will the city surface, or will it simply vanish? You reach the end of the corridor. It opens not into another chamber, but into a wide vertical shaft, a tunnel straight up carved from the coral stone hybrid you've seen throughout the city. Thin lines of light spiral up the shaft walls, like veins carrying information instead of blood. You look up, you see stars, stars. A tiny patch of the ocean's surface has opened high above you. The city is letting you go. You float upward, gently as the music resumes behind you. The chords now faint, distant. You glance back one last time. The child sleeps on, the fish glide through their spirals, the tower ticks in silence. And something in your chest tightens, not from pressure, from longing. The kind you feel after a dream so perfect, you wish you'd never woken. Section 10. You rise slowly through the vertical shaft, the stars above like tiny needles of light pricking through black silk. The water around you seems warmer now, less dense, more fluid, almost like you're floating through memory rather than liquid. The ascent isn't fast, it's gentle, purposeful. Like the city is escorting you out, not ejecting you. The shaft walls pass by in a spiral, glowing lines humming softly, their curves echoing everything you've seen so far. The fish, the scripts, the tower, the child, the patterns never stop repeating. You've begun to understand that's the city's way of saying nothing here is forgotten. And then, halfway up, the shaft opens into another chamber. You hesitate. You weren't expecting another room, but it draws you in like gravity. This space is strange. Cold, empty, dead quiet. You float in slowly, your light bouncing off glistening surfaces. It's a cube this time, unnatural compared to the curves and spirals you've grown used to. The symmetry here is jarring, almost sterile. Then you notice the far wall, it's not stone. It's ice, a thick, perfectly flat pane of ice embedded into the wall like a mirror. No bubbles. No imperfections, just a suspended moment. You drift toward it, curiosity crackling through your veins. At first, it just looks like a blank sheet. Then, as your breath fogs the inside of your helmet slightly, the ice begins to reveal shapes, objects frozen mid-motion. A tendril of kelp, captured mid-sway. A fish, one of the transparent ones, stuck mid-swim, its fins flared out, eyes wide open, frozen but not frightened. And then, a wave, frozen solid, a wave. Yes, a literal underwater wave curled in on itself, as if arrested just before it broke. You blink. It doesn't change. This isn't just cold storage, this is time. stopped. Historians still argue whether time is a fixed constant or a human perception. The deeper you go into theoretical physics, the weirder things get. Einstein theorized time could slow or accelerate depending on gravity and speed, but here, it looks like someone simply said, pause. You move along the wall slowly, watching the frozen tableau stretch on, schools of fish, collapsed columns, air bubbles, even tiny particles of silt, all suspended. Everything is still, yet vibrant with almost... It's haunting, and then you reach the center of the ice, and you see them. 3 figures, humanoid, encased entirely. Not skeletons, not statues, people, or at least beings. One is tall, with outstretched arms and a calm expression. Its eyes are closed, mouth relaxed. The second is crouched as if bracing for impact, one arm raised. The third is looking directly at you. Its hand is against the ice, and your instinct is instant. It knew you were coming. You touch your glove gently to the same spot on your side of the wall. There's no pulse, no heat, but there is recognition. A tiny shiver goes through your body, and then the lighting in the chamber changes, not violently, just subtly, from blue to white. The ice glows. And behind you, you hear a soft mechanical click. You turn. A hatch has opened. Another passage. But before you go, you glance back one more time. The frozen wave, the hand, the expression. You wonder, was this their last moment? Or was it a choice? You float into the new tunnel. This one is narrow, ribbed like the inside of a seashell. The hum of the shaft returns. You resume your slow ascent, water lifting you higher like breath rising in a chest. You pass pockets of air embedded in the walls, tiny domes that pulse as you pass, like lungs inhaling and exhaling. Your body feels lighter, your limbs looser, and then you hear it again. The music, but this time it's faint, distant. And above you, you look up. You see a faint glow beyond the next lip of the shaft. You breach it and emerge into a chamber bathed in soft golden light. This one feels different. Not sacred, not mechanical, personal. It looks like a home. There are no sharp walls here. Everything is curved. Rounded shelves made of stone and glass, tables with woven kelp cushions around them, plants swaying gently in self-contained air domes. Objects sit on the surfaces, bowls carved from bone, tools made of obsidian and coral, what might even be books, flat, iridescent panels covered in swirling script. This was someone's living space, not grand. Not royal, just real. You move gently around the space. Your shadow glides across the walls like an old ghost. A doorway leads into a second room. There's a bed, or something like it, raised, soft-looking, with layers of kelp fabric still neatly folded, no dust, no decay. Like the owner just stepped out. You feel something strange in your throat, the beginning of tears, maybe... You weren't expecting that, but here, at the bottom of the sea, in a forgotten city powered by song and silence, you feel more human than you have in years. The music above grows louder. You step through the final archway, and there you see the spiral staircase again, the one you glimpsed earlier from the tower. But this time, it leads upward, through an opening of pure light. The end is near, or maybe the beginning. You glance back at the little home. You imagine someone rising from the bed, reaching for their gloves, floating out for the morning song shift. You wonder what happened to them, and you carry that wonder with you, up the stairs, toward the light. Section 11. Your feet touch the first step of the spiral staircase, and the moment they do, a soft vibration travels up your legs, a pulse steady and slow, like a heartbeat, or perhaps the memory of one. The music above still hums faintly, drawing you upward with invisible threads. The staircase breathes beneath your feet, not metaphorically. Literally, each step flexes gently as you rise, not enough to throw you off balance, just enough to let you know this place isn't finished being alive. As you ascend, you feel gravity return gradually. Or maybe it's not gravity, it's intention. The city has carried you for so long, but now it's gently handing you back to yourself. Your limbs feel heavier, your spine straighter. Your breath steadier, the walls spiral around you lined with glowing panels that pulse in time with your movement. They no longer whisper. They listen, You reach the top, and the staircase opens into a chamber unlike any before. You float into the library. But not a library of books. This one is filled with remains. Stone tablets, yes, but also kelp scrolls, fossilized memory shells, crystalline discs suspended in fluid. Some rest on open pedestals, others float mid-air, held in place by unseen forces. You step lightly into the space, your reflection following you on every surface. And immediately you know, this isn't just knowledge. It's consciousness. Each object pulses faintly with a unique rhythm. You pass your hand over a scroll and it opens itself mid-water, unfurling like a jellyfish in bloom. Words appear on the translucent strands, spirals of course, but more complex now, layered, like music written in light. A whisper, not from the scroll but from within, says, "We left stories, not just facts." Historians still argue whether early writing was for record-keeping or for sacred transmission. Here, the answer is both. This isn't a vault of information. It's a conversation, and the city is still speaking. You move deeper into the chamber, past a wall of concentric discs. They spin slowly, each etched with a different pattern of grooves. One of them begins to hum as you approach, then another joins. Soon, a whole section of the wall is vibrating with soft music, discordant at first, but then resolving into a slow, yearning harmony. This is memory as melody. You touch a disc. It stops spinning, and an image flares in your visor. A scene, underwater, but not like now. Brighter, shallower, the city was once closer to the surface. Beings swim through open arches. Children, taller than human children with luminous eyes, laugh as fish weave between their arms. There is joy. There is light, then darkness, the water rising. A voice crying out, a decision, and the scene cuts. The disc resumes spinning. You stand still, head bowed slightly. Everywhere you look, memories bloom. A council gathered beneath coral lanterns, a hand pressing the spiral triangle symbol into soft clay. A group of beings, 12, forming a circle and humming in unison until the floor beneath them shifts like liquid. Each artifact here is a thread, and you are tangled in a loom far older than anything human. You move to the back wall. Here, the artifacts are darker. Charred stone, cracked shells, fractured panels. This is not the glory of the city. This is its fall. One panel displays a spiral with a jagged break through it. The triangle is inverted. The symbols are misaligned, scratched in haste. Beneath it, a fossilized handprint. Smaller than the others, a child's. You feel it before you understand it. Someone tried to warn. Someone tried to stop what was coming, but the wave was already rising. You step away, your breath thick in your chest. The music has slowed again, drifting back into gentle tones. The library does not accuse, it does not mourn. It simply remembers, and now so do you. A soft bell sounds, deep, oceanic, like a whale's call echoing across the floor of the world. You look up, the ceiling of the chamber ripples, then splits. Above, another corridor beckons, but this one is different. It isn't made of stone, it's made of light. Beams of gold and blue swirl into a tunnel, slowly rotating, inviting you forward like the eye of a galaxy. You hesitate, not from fear, from the sheer beauty of it. You step forward. The moment you enter, the tunnel responds. Light bends around you, flowing along your limbs. You're not floating anymore, you're gliding. The walls spin slowly, displaying images as you pass. A figure planting a seed in soft sand. A whale rising to breach beneath falling stars. A hand releasing a glowing orb into the waves. A spiral uncoiling into a single point of light. You are being taught, not in words, not in facts. In feeling, and the lesson is clear, nothing truly dies, it changes. It forgets, it hides, but it waits. And when remembered, it lives again. You emerge from the light tunnel into a small chamber, empty except for one object, a bowl. Floating, inside, water, perfectly still. You look into it and you see your own face, but different. Wiser, older, not aged. Just known. You reach toward the water, but before your fingers touch, a ripple. And the surface goes dark, and then it's time. The voice is not male, not female. Not even singular, it's the city, and it's letting you go. You place your helmet back on, though you don't remember removing it. You step into the narrow passage ahead, a tunnel. Straight up, a shimmer at the end. You rise. Slowly, toward the surface, toward waking. Toward whatever comes next. Section 12. The tunnel narrows as you ascend, its walls growing smoother, less adorned. No more spirals. No glyphs, no glowing fish or whispering membranes, just the long, quiet shaft of water, guiding you upward like the barrel of a telescope pointed at the stars. And you do see stars now. Not literal ones, not yet, but memories of them. Reflections ripple in the walls of the tunnel. Constellations you don't recognize. Star maps etched in shifting silver. Fragments of light moving across the surface like fireflies caught in amber. You float through them, surrounded by patterns older than your name, older than your species. The pressure begins to ease, slightly. Not like earlier when it wrapped around you like a velvet fist, now it's just lifting, gently, as if the city itself is loosening its grip. Not banishing you, releasing you, but even in this slow surrender, the journey isn't finished. The tunnel curves suddenly, directing you into a wide antechamber shaped like a tilted disc. You land softly on the floor, which pulses once under your boots, like a parting handshake. At the far end is a doorway. You approach it expecting more stone, more symbols, another frozen echo of history. Instead, you find a mirror, not ice, not water, a true mirror, perfect. Seamless, suspended in the arch like a vertical lake of glass, and in it you see yourself. But again, not exactly. You're wearing your suit, yes, but the reflections twist around the edges. Your limbs appear longer, your eyes darker, your silhouette refracted into something subtly other. You take a step closer. Your reflection doesn't match your movement. It tilts its head slightly when you do not. It raises one hand, slowly, deliberately. And then it speaks. Again, not in sound, but in vibration. What will you carry? The words arrive in your chest like a warm stone dropped into still water. Not painful, just permanent. You don't know how to answer. You want to say everything, the fish, the music, the child, the silence, but your mouth doesn't open. The mirror ripples, and then you see images flash across its surface. The orb of the sleeping child, the labyrinthine city breathing beneath the waves. The towers of sound and the time-frozen wave. The gallery of amphibian builders watching in repose, the moment the city shifted around you. Then the reflection changes again. You're still there, but now you're standing beside someone else. The child. Not in water, not asleep, awake. Eyes open, one hand in yours, you blink. The image fades, the mirror dims, and the doorway behind it opens. No longer a wall of reflection, just a quiet, circular passageway made of soft white coral, gently pulsating like the inside of a giant seashell. You step through. Immediately the light warms. The water here is thinner, brighter. You can see particulate drift, like dust motes dancing in a sunbeam. The space opens up around you into a dome, and at its center floats an enormous lens, 10 meters wide, made of glass or something like it, floating, rotating slowly. Beneath it, the floor opens onto a wide spiral staircase descending in tight circles into unknown depths. But the lens is what draws you. You move toward it. And as you do, the lens activates, not with sound, with vision. Through its shifting glass, the world bends. You see memories, not just of the city. Of you, moments from your life, faint, refracted. You, standing alone in your apartment, staring out at the rain. You, at a hospital bed, someone's hand fading from yours. You, drifting in a sea of people, alone despite the noise. You, dreaming of escape, of meaning. The lens hums. This is why you were allowed here. Not because you were special. Because you were searching. This city, buried beneath time and pressure, was never lost. It was waiting. For someone who would see it not as treasure, but as truth. You lower your head, the lens dims. The room hushes, the staircase behind you glows, guiding your path once more, but you turn first, just for a moment. Because you realize something, the lens is not showing you the past, it's showing you the weight of it. And reminding you, you can leave it, you can rise, and so you do. You step onto the staircase, not descending this time, but ascending. The spiral inverts as you walk upward. The steps feel lighter, thinner, almost like vapor beneath your boots. The walls fade, the city is letting go, not all at once. Not completely, but enough. You emerge into a narrow shaft of blue light, the final stretch between the ruins and the surface. The tunnel has no more coral, no more markings, just water and gravity in reverse. You feel your body lifted gently, and then air. For the first time in what feels like forever, your head breaks the surface. You're in open ocean. The sky above is dark, midnight blue, sprinkled with stars. The surface is calm, impossibly so. No boats, no waves, just stillness. Your suit fills with oxygen, your eyes adjust. You float there in silence. And only now, with the city behind you, do you realize how loud the surface world is, even when it's quiet. You reach up, touch your helmet. And for one breathless moment, you remember everything. Section 13. You drift on the surface for a moment longer, your body barely breaking the calm of the sea. Stars stretch endlessly above, and for the first time since descending, you feel the sky again. Cold air seeps through the seals of your helmet, and your breath fogs the visor. Not from fear this time, from wonder. You turn slowly in the water, no shoreline, no lights. Just the sea, flat and silver black in every direction. You're alone, except you're not. Because below you the city stirs. You feel it before you hear it, a thrum. Soft, steady, familiar. It doesn't call you back. It echoes, as if to say, you're still part of this. You glance down through your visor and through the shallows. It's too deep to see now, but you know the shapes are still there. The towers, the child, the music that isn't heard. The underwater city hasn't vanished. But it has changed, and something's different up here too. The water shivers softly. Then the stars begin to shift, just slightly, barely noticeable unless you're paying close attention. Constellations realign. A star blinks out, another appears. No, not stars. Reflections. You spin in the water and look toward the horizon. A ripple is forming, far off but not a wave. The waterline itself is bending, and with a slow, impossible grace, a shape begins to rise from the surface. A wall, a dome, a shimmer. It's the city. Or at least a part of it. It's rearranged. You stare as massive towers rise like reflections of themselves, but flipped, columns of light instead of coral, smooth glass instead of stone. And then they shift again. The shapes fracture, rotate, slide sideways like pieces on a game board. You're not witnessing emergence, you're witnessing intelligence. The city is moving itself into place, aligning, slowly, deliberately, like it's solving a puzzle that's been unsolved for centuries. You float there, silent, trying to make sense of it. And then the realization crashes over you. You're in the middle of a maze. Not a maze for you to solve, a maze you've been part of this whole time. Every corridor, every symbol, every spiraling step downward and slow climb up. It wasn't about direction. It was about awakening. The maze was never around you. It was in you. Historians still argue whether ancient labyrinths, like the ones built by the Minoans at Knossos, were meant to imprison monsters or unlock human consciousness. This city, it chose the latter. It didn't trap you, it taught you, it turned you inward until you were ready to turn outward. The water pulses again. You glance around, and now you see it more clearly. The walls of the city aren't rising randomly. They're restructuring around your location. Corridors align behind the waves. Archways form in the surf. Walls fold outward, revealing new geometry, each rotation locking in with the next like cogs in a machine of memory. And then something extraordinary happens. The water beneath you hardens, not into ice, but into structure. A smooth, glowing path rises beneath your back, lifting you gently out of the water like a hand. You lie on it, staring up at the sky as more platforms extend outward from your resting point, like petals opening around you. You're at the center. The city has rearranged itself into a mandala, a living, breathing, geometric map of intention. And you are the still point, the observer, the student. The final test. Then the whispers return, not in words, in motion. The air shifts, the stars pulse, a breeze moves without origin. And then, one symbol appears in the sky itself, a spiral, inside a triangle, encircled by 12 small lights, the same emblem. But now it pulses with quiet authority. And you understand, this is a question, the same one from the mirror chamber. What will you carry? Your thoughts scramble, the orb, the child. The melody, the pulse of time and the silence of memory, you think of all of it. But in the end, your answer is simple. You whisper, myself, and the city exhales. The platform under you hums, warm and gentle. Then it begins to lower, sliding back into the sea without haste, without sound. You're in the water again. The stars resume their places. The geometry dissolves, no splash, no goodbye. The city is once more unseen, but not forgotten, not now. Because as you begin to swim, the water moves with you, not against. It remembers you, and you now remember yourself. You swim toward no shore, no destination, just forward. Just awake. Section 14. You glide quietly through the water, your limbs moving on instinct alone. You're not swimming anymore. You're carried, not by the current, there isn't one, but by something deeper. Something older. Like the sea itself has agreed, you may pass. There is no wind. No splash, only stillness and that faint hum just at the edge of hearing. You're not cold, you're not tired, but you should be. That's when you notice it, a shape rising from below, slowly, steadily. You roll in the water, back to belly, and look down. Beneath you, rising from the depths like a patient guardian, comes a creature. No, guardian is too small a word. This thing is enormous. Its shell spirals upward like a cathedral roof, layered with barnacle and bioluminescent moss. Its limbs, if you can even call them that, are long and armored with plates resembling crusted bronze. It doesn't swim. It drifts, rising without urgency, propelled by purpose rather than speed, and its eyes, two glowing coals sunk deep into a face etched with time, regard you with absolute stillness. It sees you. It remembers you. It was always here. In every silent corridor, in every shifting wall, in every pulse of music that wasn't music, it was this. Watching, waiting, measuring. And now it has surfaced. You feel a tremor in your chest, a fear not of danger, but of being known. The creature rises until it hovers just below you, massive and motionless. Its back is covered in grooves, runes, spirals. You realize it's part of the city. Maybe even its heart. Then the water stirs. Behind you, from the east, comes another form. Then another and another. You roll in place. Dozens of guardians now breach the surface in silence, spreading in every direction, all different, all ancient, some with fins like wings, some with tentacles like trees, others shaped like shells, their forms layered with coral, glass, bone. They form a ring around you, not closing in, just witnessing. You float among them like a lost thought drifting into a library that finally remembered what it forgot, and then the shell guardian moves, not toward you. It opens, not entirely, just enough. A slit appears in the top of its armored spiral, and a warm, golden glow spills from within. The light doesn't hurt your eyes. It calms them. Like staring into a sunrise you somehow earned, you understand without question, this is the chamber of return, not a place. A moment, you descend slowly, guided by nothing but trust, and gently touch down on the guardian's shell. It holds you like stone holds moss, firm, patient, certain. The slit widens. Inside is not darkness, it is memory. A swirl of colour and motion, echoes of the city itself, the garden of glass fish, the tower that ticks in silence. The frozen wave, the child, you. Standing at the centre of it all, and then it shows you something new. Others, not many. Just a few, each like you, each different. A woman with silver braids, tears drying on her cheeks, a child no older than 10, palms open and glowing, an old man humming as he floated through the same corridors you once walked. All of them touched, all of them chosen. You are not the first. But you are now part of it. The guardian closes again, not abruptly, lovingly, like a door closing at the end of a lullaby, and you feel something move inside your suit. A small object, weightless, pressing gently against your chest. You reach under your collar. It's the orb. but smaller now, simpler and warm. You press it between your palms, it beats once, then disappears. Not in light, in belonging, you are no longer holding it. It is now holding you. Above you the stars shift once more, but you don't look up. You close your eyes, the guardians begin to descend, back into the depths. One by one, silently, no splashes, no farewells, and you float in place, buoyed by the silence. And you say aloud, just once, thank you. The ocean listens and does not speak, but you feel it smile. Section 15. The water is still again. You remain floating on the surface, your body feather-light, the guardians now just a memory slipping back into the deep. The moon hangs above, whole, round and glowing like the last eye of the city, watching over your exit. You turn slowly, scanning the horizon, and then you see it, a new structure rising faintly from the distance. Not a tower, not a temple, a spire. Thin and tall, like the tip of a needle reaching up through the sea. It wasn't there before, you're certain. But it's calling now, not through sound, through gravity. You begin to drift toward it, not swimming, just drawn. The spire is different from anything you've seen in the city. It's made of white stone, unmarred by coral or barnacle. Its surface glows softly with flowing script, words in no language, yet somehow full of meaning, like the hush before a story, or the breath before a song. As you near it, you see that the base of the spire widens into a platform, smooth, circular, barely breaking the surface of the ocean, and from the center rises a staircase, yes. A staircase up, out of the sea. You float to the platform, step out of the water, and for the first time since you entered the city, your feet meet dry ground. It feels wrong, and right. You pause, looking down at your soaked suit. It's heavy now, earth heavy. No longer buoyed by the city's grace, you remove your helmet slowly. The wind touches your face for the first time in what feels like lifetimes. It's cool, kind. You take your first step up the staircase. And as you do, the script on the spire shifts. It begins to scroll, not like writing, but like memory, and it shows you things. Not visions this time, echoes, your footsteps through the coral maze. Your hand reaching out to the child in the orb, the silent tower's hum crawling through your chest, the frozen wave. The whisper that asked, "What will you carry?" Each step forward shows you a step backward. You realize the staircase isn't for escape, it's for integration. Every step is a memory rising. Every breath is a thread pulled through the cloth of your being. You climb. Slowly, one foot after the other, and higher up the air changes. It tastes of salt, of sky, of time. You reach the top of the spire. It opens into a wide, flat space. No railing. No ceiling, just the sky stretching forever in every direction. And at the center, a single platform. Round, raised, familiar. You step onto it, and suddenly you're not on the platform, you're in it. Light spills up around you, soft at first, then sharper. You look down and realize you're not casting a shadow. The song, not in your ears, in the air. A chorus, slow and ancient, not human, not alien. Just true, and within that song comes another voice, quiet, clear. Climb the tower of air. You look up. Above the platform, the spire continues. But there are no steps, just a pillar of wind spiraling upward, waiting. You step into it, and you are lifted, not fast. Not dramatic, like breath rising from lungs, like light spilling into a dark room. You rise, and with every meter you shed weight, not your gear. Your fear, your doubt, your forgetting. You see below you now everything, the city, the guardians. The tower, the frozen wave, the library of echoes. And you realize something, none of it is gone. It was never down there, it was always inside. The pillar of air lifts you higher still. Stars spin slowly around you. The ocean beneath shrinks. And then suddenly, silence, total, complete. The wind stops. You are suspended in air, held. And ahead of you, at the very top of the world, is a door, not grand, not glowing. Just wood, simple, old. And carved into its surface, a spiral. a triangle, a circle. No lock, no knob, just you. You float toward it, and when you're ready, you reach out. Your hand touches the wood. It's warm, and in that moment you understand. You're not opening the door, you are the door. Section 16. Your fingers rest on the wooden door, rough, real, and impossibly familiar. You've never touched it before, and yet somehow it feels like your hand has always belonged there. The grain runs in spirals, natural echoes of everything you've seen, of coral, of current, of breath. You press. There's no creak, no click. The door simply dissolves, like mist catching sunlight, and before you, just light. Not blinding, not empty, but infinite. A warm, golden expanse that seems to stretch in every direction without end or beginning. No floor, no ceiling. Just air that cradles you like a mother's arms, soft and endless and unhurried. You step forward, though there's nothing to step on, and yet you're supported. Held, the light here doesn't cast shadows, it invites. You walk for a while, or perhaps not at all. Time in this place no longer ticks or breathes or folds, it simply is. And then slowly, shapes begin to form, not in front of you, but within you. You see places first. The glass garden lit by luminous fish. The tower ticking in silent rhythm. The chamber of the child who blinked once every few minutes. All there. Rebuilt, but now clearer, and you realize you aren't just remembering. You're re-entering. This place, this sea of light, is the final chamber of the city, the chamber of final questions. Not a physical room, a state of mind, and within it, truths drift toward you like jellyfish, gentle, glowing, delicate, untouchable. They don't speak in words, they show you, a hand releasing a memory into the sea, a name being carved into water, then erased. A guardian closing its eyes, not to sleep, but to wait, and then your own face, not tired, not frightened, but changed. You reach out to the glowing image of yourself, and it speaks in your own voice. The price of return is release. You hesitate. Release what? The light answers. A spiral forms in the air before you. Then a triangle, then the circle, they lock together, one inside the other. And then they crack, gently, the spiral fractures. The triangle folds, the circle dims, and in their place, a mirror. Not like the one you saw in the corridor above. This one reflects only your name, and then it begins to dissolve. Letter by letter, as if rinsed away by the sea, you want to reach for it, to hold on, but you know now that's not how you leave this place, that's not how you continue. You take one breath, one final breath as the you knew fades, not into nothingness, but into truth, and the mirror disappears. A hush falls through the light, and you are asked for the last time, what will you become? And you answer, not aloud, you simply exist, present. Clear, unburdened, you feel yourself rising, not physically, but through the levels of memory and time and silence. Like swimming upward through your own soul, as you ascend, the city below becomes distant, but never gone. It hums softly beneath the surface of your consciousness. Waiting, always waiting. And then the light opens, and you emerge into cool air. Your eyes adjust, you're back, on the surface. In the world, but it is not the same, and neither are you. You reach for your chest, half expecting to find the orb. You don't, but you feel it inside. And exactly where you've been. Section 17, you float on your back, arms out, face turned to the heavens. The stars above shimmer like ancient eyes blinking slowly, just as the child in the orb once did. The water beneath you supports your body, but you don't feel wet anymore. You feel remembered. A soft current nudges you gently eastward, or maybe north. It doesn't matter. You're not navigating, you're drifting, and for the first time in what might be years, you let yourself. No destination, no expectation, only presence. The night sky reflects in the water's surface, creating a perfect mirror. For a moment it looks like you're suspended between two infinities, one above, one below. Both quiet, both ancient, and then a faint tremor through the soles of your feet. The water beneath you doesn't ripple, but it resonates. The city far below sends a final thrum, a goodbye, or maybe a reminder, you are not alone. You lower your hands into the water, letting your fingers trail like oars through satin. The sensation brings back 100 silent details. The hum of the mirror chamber. The music that was never heard, only felt. The way the fish moved as one, looping in spiral harmony. The soft eyes of the child, watching you not as an intruder, but as kin. All of it is in you now. You begin to kick softly, slowly, turning toward the horizon. A speck of land has appeared. You blink once, just to be sure. It's there. It wasn't before, but now it is. A soft line of grey sand, a few trees silhouetted by moonlight, their shapes swaying in a breeze that doesn't yet touch your face. The city hasn't just changed you, it's made a way for you. You swim toward it, the motion slow, graceful. Your body remembers now how to move through water like its language. You reach the shore in minutes, though it feels like hours. The sand is cool under your feet as you step from the ocean, your suit heavy now, full of salt and silence. You strip it off, piece by piece, until you stand barefoot at the edge of this unfamiliar, perfect place, wrapped only in air and the memory of light. You walk towards the trees. They sway gently as you pass, not with wind but with recognition. You lie down beneath them, the ground soft and alive, the stars shift, and for a long, long time you simply breathe. No questions, no movement, only being. And above you, the spiral shines faintly in the sky. You close your eyes and sleep. Not because you are tired, but because it is time. Let yourself settle. Let your breathing slow. You've been so far, deeper than most will ever imagine, into a place where cities don't crumble, they wait, where silence isn't absence but memory. And where you were never a visitor, only someone who had forgotten where they came from. The water has grown still now, you're safe on the shore. Dry, warm, held, the pulse of the city remains inside you. You can still feel it, can't you? Soft, deep, steady, like the echo of a lullaby that only your soul remembers. It hums in the spaces between your thoughts. There's no rush to return, no urgency to act, just this moment. The trees sway, the stars realign, the air brushes your cheek with a breath older than language. You are whole, you are known, you are home. And as your body softens, your eyes close, not to escape, but to reconnect. You feel the spiral unfolding gently inside your chest, not to confuse, but to lead. Let the city fade now, just a little. You can visit again when you're ready. But tonight you rest, carried by silence, cradled in light. And somewhere far below, in the heart of the ocean, the child still waits, still watches, still dreams. Just like you, good night, sweet dreams.